Welcome you to my favorite day of the week, FICO Friday. We're going to have a discussion, as I like to call it. For those who don't know me, my name is Roundtree, your credit master instructor for the J. Morrison Academy. Be careful with the camera, y'all. For the J. Morrison Academy, president and co-founder of Easy Funding, president, founder of We Management Services, author of the book Credit is King, real estate investor, real estate coach, mentor, as some has called me. But more importantly, I'm here rocking out with you guys today for FICO Friday. And just want to, like I say, today we're going to talk about from mentorship to millions. I'm going to talk a little bit more about my story, my journey. I get a lot of people that reach out to me asking me how I got started in business, period, because I really want people to understand that, anything you're doing from a business standpoint is definitely not overnight. I know a lot of times we see people, we only see the championship. We don't see the grind. We don't see the training, the no's, the rejections, and all of that stuff that transpired before any of that was even accomplished. So, I give everybody a few more minutes to hop on. King Justice, what's going on, King? Facebook, I know I'm new to the whole Facebook streaming live, so y'all gonna have to bear with me. Yeah, I got my marathon hat on. So yeah, definitely have to represent for King Nip. So definitely rest in paradise, King, and all of that good stuff. All right, so today again, FICO Friday, we're talking about from mentorship to millions. So for those who don't really know my story, my journey, I started off in entrepreneurship back around 2003. And how I actually got introduced to entrepreneurship, I'm a college dropout. I was a straight A student in school, got to high school. School got a little boring to me. My family assumed I was going to go off to college and do all these things which was their narrative or their perception, but that was not what God had designed for my life, obviously. And so started working, worked a 9 to 5, was fortunate enough at the age of probably about 21, no, probably even younger than that. I think I was at 18, working a job, was making probably about, $50,000 a year at the age of 20, 19, 20 years old. And I thought I was going to retire from that company, and the company had been in business for, 70 plus years. I thought that was going to be the place where I retired from. And so I remember one day coming into work, and this was August 13th, and they told us eventually our company will be sold to a private investment group, and you guys may not have employment anymore if the company does get sold. And so August 14th, we went back to the facility, and they had a chain on the door. And so from that point, I was out of work. And so didn't really know what I was going to do. I had already, dropped out of college, and, I've always had aspirations of doing something great. I really just never had a plan. And I always like to share that story because I'm sure there's so many of us or so many of you who have been in this exact same position at some point in your life where you're really not sure, what is your end goal? What's your plan? I didn't really have any skills. I always knew that, I was just always someone who thought very highly of himself. I always knew I was going to be great at something, really just never knew what it was. And I can remember I was fortunate enough to be introduced into network marketing. That is actually how I got my start into entrepreneurship. And so I can remember going to this meeting, and I'm pretty sure anybody who's ever been to a network marketing event knows the feeling. You get invited to something, they say, they want you to come out and get your opinion about something. So, I went out to the event, got enrolled into network marketing, and I will say that the one thing that I take away from network marketing, which is why I've never down-talked or downplayed network marketing, is the fact that it was some of the best training that I've received from a sales standpoint and personal development. And I always tell people the personal development is what saved my life. Because, growing up in Milwaukee, it was, we didn't have a lot of options. It was a blue collar city. A lot of the factory jobs had, got shipped out, and it was kind of like on some survival mode. And so learning more about personal development, people seeing more in myself than seeing more in me than I saw in myself at the time. And then throughout that journey of being in entrepreneurship, I remember meeting a real estate attorney who started mentoring me. He just, kind of took a liking to, just my ambition, my drive, and, wanting to even learn more about real estate at that time. I've always been involved, or I've always been around real estate. My parents owned properties. My grandfather at one point owned about 40 plus properties, owned a car wash back in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. But it was something that I never really actively pursued. I always just knew that, I was always around real estate and investing. And so, like I say, my mentor, the real estate attorney, he was the one that gave me the phrase. He said, "Will, eventually, I want you to learn as much as you can about credit." And this was back in 2003. And he said, "Will, eventually credit is going to become the new dollar." And for people who have heard me speak and heard my story, I didn't know what he meant by that at the time. But when I moved to Las Vegas, I quickly found out what he meant when he said credit is going to become the new dollar. You couldn't do anything without credit. And I moved to Las Vegas in 2005. Moved out here, didn't know anybody. I borrowed $500. And I couldn't rent an apartment, couldn't buy a car without a cosigner because, I didn't have anything. I literally got rid of everything. I wasn't bankrupt on paper, but I was financially bankrupt because I didn't have any money, couldn't pay any of my bills, and came out here really just trying to find my way and wanting something different. And my motto was really on some 50 Cent, get rich or die trying, and dying not being, literally, but, from a metaphorically standpoint, I was going to do everything I had to do to position myself towards greatness. And so because of my training from network marketing, I always knew that mentorship was vitally important. And keep in mind, mentorship doesn't always come in the fashion of having a one-on-one mentor. I have virtual mentors. Les Brown was one of my virtual mentors who I've, had the opportunity and humbly was able to meet about a month ago or so. From the Jim Rohns to the Tony Robbins to the John C. Maxwell's, and then of course as the internet and social media began to start becoming more of an impact in our lives, fast forwarding my story and journey, just everybody kind of has heard my credit story and how I got enrolled in credit. But fast forwarding to seeing Jay Morrison online, and so my first interaction with him is I actually saw him on the Breakfast Club, and so I reached out to him from the Breakfast Club interview. He actually mentioned the real estate company he was working for, and Peace King Vincent, what's going on, and so reached out to him, and one of the things that caught my attention, it wasn't the money, it wasn't the real estate. It was more so his vision. And so our visions aligned based upon what I saw my vision being from a credit standpoint, really wanting to educate our people because I know what credit had done for me in my life and what had transpired. And so just fast forwarding from there even more, I remember Jay, just starting his academy. And so I initially invested into the academy mainly because I wanted that structure to learn more about real estate investing because I knew credit and real estate went hand in hand. Now, mind you, this was back in 2013 when he was first getting the academy off the ground. And one of the biggest reasons why I invested with him is because I hadn't seen anybody that looked like me speaking about creating wealth for our community. And that was big for me because a lot of times we do business, or we like to do business with people who we know, like, and trust, or that look like us. And so seeing someone, a black king who's speaking greatness and preaching greatness into our community, that attracted me to wanting to invest into his academy. And so from that point, then I invested into his one-on-one mentorship. and essentially had him as my business coach. And so the thing that I always like to share with people is why I feel mentorship is important is because, see, mentorship was important to me personally because I think that sometimes, yeah, you can do everything yourself, but I've never seen anybody in business make it being a one-man band. Yeah, people say they're self-made, but trust me, they've had people to kind of guide them and give them a blueprint along the way. And pretty much, I joined Jay's mentorship program more so as someone who can hold me accountable. See, when you think about mentorship, it's not always about hand-holding. And that's the thing that I really want people to understand, because we've had people that have done one-on-one coaching with us and they assume we're going to hold their hand. Look, we're all adults. You know, yeah, regardless, you did invest your money, whether it's with us or some other mentor, but mentorship is not hand-holding. You know, that's like saying you're going to hire a personal trainer and they're going to do the bench presses for you. You're going to hire a personal trainer and they're going to eat the foods for you. You're going to hire a personal trainer and they're going to do the crunches for you. It doesn't work like that. A mentor, a coach, is one that's going to hold you accountable. And the accountability is usually the hardest component when it's anything you're trying to achieve in life, because they say the definition of easy means it's also easy not to do. Meaning, yeah, I can give you the how-tos on how to do real estate, but it's easy not to want to go out there and interview 15 contractors in a week. It's easy to not want to go out there and door knock for a week straight and try to get 100 leads. It's easy not to want to fix your credit because you've been discouraged because you've had a 500 or less for the past 5, 6, 10 plus years. And so having a mentor has done tremendous things for me because it gave me the ability to stay accountable. And so anytime when I'm like, okay, we sat down, we did my discovery, fact finding, and figuring out what my end goal was. And so my end goal was to grow my business and be able to scale it. You know, the benefit and why people create businesses is that you want to work as hard as you can on your business so you can eventually work yourself out of your business. That way you're not doing the day-to-day stuff, you know. And so because of that, fortunately, I'm not the one doing the actual credit repair of my company. You know, I have a team in place. I have, you know, probably 20, 25, I think maybe close to 30 people. I don't even know how many people on our staff. But that's because everything that I have been working all the way from 2003, I've had mentors, you know, and I've fast forwarded and kind of gave you guys the Cliff Notes version. But the purpose of this FICO Friday is really just to talk about the power of mentorship, you know. And again, do I believe in having one-on-one mentorship? Absolutely. But I understand it's not for everyone. And so it's okay. Audiobooks were my mentors. You know, I can remember my university on wheels, as I would call it. You know, when I was driving to work every single day, I was listening to Les Brown. I was listening to Tony Robbins. I was listening to, you know, Earl Nightingale. I was listening to, you know, Robert Kiyosaki. I was listening to individuals who was feeding my subconscious. You know, I was honing my crafts as far as learning everything, not even just about credit, but I was learning about business. And that's the thing that a valuable mentor is going to be able to teach you, because the business principles are parallel. See, if you can learn about business, everything, any industry that you're trying to get into, you'll be able to prosper and have success, because business is all about systems. That's how you create a successful business. And for those who don't know what systems is, and I'm going to repeat this every single week, systems stands for saving yourself time, energy, and money. And some of the reasons why a lot of these businesses have failed is because they're trying to wear too many hats. Yeah, in the beginning, you will have to be the accountant, the marketing person, the branding person, the data entry, the payroll, the customer service. You're going to have to wear all of those hats. But if you aren't working to work yourself out of those positions and start relinquishing those positions to people, you're pretty much just bought yourself a job. And if you can't scale, then your income becomes capped. And so those are some of the things that mentorship does, is because it's like putting together a 5,000 piece puzzle. Yeah, you have every single piece you need to complete this project, on the table, but sometimes you need that person standing over you to be like, you know what, that doesn't go to the top right, it goes to the top left. Or you know what, this goes right here, this looks like part of the arm, or whatever the case is. And that's what a good mentor is. It's not about the how-tos. See, a good mentor is going to, help you to shift your paradigm thinking, or get you a paradigm shift in your thinking, excuse me, because as I always say, business is 80% mindset. You'll be surprised how many people's had great ideas, incredible inventions, and had the greatest and latest things in sliced bread, and it never got anywhere because they got one no and they quit. And so part of mentorship is that person that can be like, first of all, why are you focusing on the problem? Everything we do is solution oriented. Reminds me, a lot of you guys were on here when we had King Tommy. He paid for mentorship. In the middle of his mentorship, he lost his job. Now, he could have folded and said, you know what, King Will, I need my money back. I just lost my job. I don't know what's going to happen. And I see so many people that they don't even have a life-altering issue like that, and they're asking for their refunds. They don't even want to test the waters to see if success is around the corner. And so, as Tommy's mentor, I said, okay, King, what do you want to do? Are you going to make money? Do you want to make money, or do you want to make excuses? Because you said your end goal was to eventually work yourself out of a 9-to-5. And let me ask you, first of all, do you think you can get gainful employment again? He was like, absolutely. I'm like, okay, so that's not even a problem. Now let's focus on the end goal, which is what you said is you want to get your first investment property. You've tried all these other things. You tried to cut corners to success. And about 5 months into his coaching, he closed on his first investment property without having any gainful employment. And that's because he went through our one-on-one coaching. We got him the money from easy funding, so he didn't even come to the table with any investment capital. We helped him create that by using the bank's money. And as you guys saw a few weeks ago, he told his testimonial, and he's probably been collecting checks for about 3 or 4 months now. So always tell people, in business and life, it's never a money problem. It's always about a lack of strategy. And if we can focus on being solution oriented, the strategies will come. And that's where the solutions also come in, is also by having the strategies. But if you can't lock arms with someone who's went through the trenches to be able to help you mitigate the mistakes that are going to give you the strategies, because essentially with our one-on-one real estate coaching, that's all we're doing. We're giving you the strategies. It's not saying we've never once said, hey, we're going to guarantee you're going to get a property. Because for one, we can't force you to sign the contract. We can't force you to say, hey, we know this is a good deal, but you don't want to sign the paperwork, or you get scared, or you pump fake, or your spouse says, no, we don't want to do it. Or, there's 1,000,001 excuses or reasons why one may not want to move forward. But all we can do is give you the proper strategies, give you the proper resources. We definitely going to get you the money, because that's the easiest part, because we're going to make sure your credit is in place. And then if you did want to do a deal, we do get deals. That's one of the benefits of working with us and being part of our one-on-one coaching. Matter of fact, I think we're at a 95% closing ratio with all of our coaching clients in 2018 who has purchased and acquired real estate that's worked with us one-on-one. And every last one of them has went through our funding program. So imagine, whatever it is you want to do, whether it's real estate, start a new business, scale your business, and being able to be in position to self-fund whatever it is you want to do. That's the power of mentorship, because as I tell people, one of the unfair advantages of working with us when you do one-on-one coaching with myself and my team, Paul Thornton, and the rest of the J. Morrison Academy family, we have an unfair advantage because we're going to help you get the money. And I can almost assure you, there's gurus out there charging you $100,000 to speak to them for 6 times, and not once are they going to be focused on trying to help you get the capital. You spent all your money invested in trying to get them to coach you. But one of the things that we like to do is making sure that we're going to put you in position. We're going to definitely give you all of the strategies to get access to as much capital as possible. And then the beautiful thing I always tell people about, as a business and you're growing, you're always going to be able to get access to capital as long as you take care of the money that they help you get. As long as you take care of the money that we assist you to get, pay it back to the banks are always going to give you more money. And so I said all this to say, and then we'll open it up for some Q&A here soon. Me investing in myself. I can remember my first phone call with King J. It was a 10-minute phone call, and I paid $1,500. Now, I could have complained about the call, this, that, and the third, but that was one of the best investments I made, because that $1,500 investment, which led to me wanting to do the business coaching one-on-one with him, which has helped me to be able to create 3 7-figure businesses over the course of the past 2.5 to 3 years. And so I don't say that definitely not to impress anybody, but just to impress upon you, there's benefits in mentorship. And just like anything, you get back what you put into it. So yes, there is going to be some work required on your behalf. You know, King J didn't make it easy for me. He said, King, if this is what you want, you got to go out there and get it. And that's one of the things that we always trying to tell a lot of our coaching clients, is that it's not spoon feeding. It's definitely teaching you how to fish, because the thing is that now I've been in a position to duplicate myself to help create other kings, to being in a position to help my partner Paul Thornton leave a 6-figure safe job, as people may call it, to where now he's making over 6 figures part-time working from home, and built his own company and has a successful real estate portfolio. On my partner Corday Linton, who's now has a $5 million real estate portfolio after us working with him. All of the capital came from what we've helped him gain, and he, was working at Johnson Control, making about $180,000. Last year we've helped acquire over $15 million in real estate acquisitions, just all based off of our coaching clients and everything that we've helped curate. Within the past 2 years, through our Easy Funding program, we've helped over 1,500 plus small and medium-sized businesses secure over $350 million in capital for their companies. So I'm gonna just leave you guys with this, family. It's just, I just want people to understand that, not even saying that you have to do one-on-one coaching. That's definitely not what I'm saying. I'm definitely saying that, just take the information, take heed, understand that mentorship is important, whether it's a virtual mentor, whether it's one-on-one mentorship, whether it's one-on-one coaching, and just be clear and precise about what it is you're trying to accomplish. And I can almost promise you, as long as you don't quit, it's almost impossible to fail. But unfortunately, some of the times, a lot of us have not hit our goal, mainly just because we gave up too soon. So I'll go ahead and open it up for some Q&A. If anybody did have some questions here, definitely we'll take some easy funding easy funding questions. I had a couple people asking questions. Does easy funding come with the credit repair program? No. Easy funding and credit repair are 2 different programs.
I was considering consolidating.
Khalid King, what's going on?
I was considering consolidating my credit card debt with a low interest loan, but will this affect my ability for business funding if the underwriters see that I've consolidated?
So the question was, someone asked, they were thinking about consolidating their credit card debt with a low interest loan. Would that affect or impact their chances of getting easy funded? No, it does not, especially if the installment loan is what it's called, is not one of those extremely absorbent high interest rate loans. So that is actually one of the strategies that we have done for some individuals to help them get their utilization down. So that's actually a good method. Now, I wouldn't go with the consolidation company. I would just go and consolidate my debts on your own by using an installment loan.
Where do I go to find pricing for credit repair?
You can go to the website, jmorrisonacademy.com. jmorrisonacademy.com. Y'all light on the questions today, huh? Somebody said sometimes crisis push us into success. Absolutely. One of my favorite books by Damon John, The Power of Being Broke. He talked about how not having a plan B is what forced him into, success. So yeah, those are definitely some of the things that's been beneficial for us. or just any entrepreneur. So let me see what we got on here. Position yourself for greatness, King OG Frank, absolutely. I am noticing you guys' comments, questions. What are the interest rates on the lines of credit received? Christian, it all varies. The banks set their own interest rates. The one thing that I've learned in business is that banks are generally always going to have the more favorable interest rates. It's all in about having a vehicle to be able to service the debt. Now, I will tell you, as a small business owner, you have very few options to get interest rates that are very favorable. That's why I will always deal with banks. I actually had a king reach out to me a couple days ago where he was trying to circumvent going through easy funding, came across some other funding program, and they don't tell him that, essentially it was a business payday loan. And so the minimum payment that they told him he had to pay, that did not go to the principal. It was interest only. And it's, like I say, it was a small business payday loan. So you definitely got to be careful out here. Yeah, I'll always take money from the banks, because even if I had to pull money from a line of credit and my interest rate, let's just say, is 12%. Well, based upon, after factoring in my carrying cost for what my return on investment is going to be on this real estate investment property, as long as I'm turning a profit, I could care less what the interest rate is, because that's still the cheapest money. Plus, that's not my money coming out of my actual physical pocket. So I'm looking, again, investing in business is all strategy. So I'm looking at the cheapest entry point for me to get access to some capital to be able to purchase an asset that didn't cost me anything out of pocket, that I did all using the bank's money. I'm telling you, that's one of the illest things if you really sit and think about it. And just from a financial standpoint, being able to create your own wealth, creating your own assets, all just by leveraging your credit. When you really sit back and think about it, it's nothing more, nothing more favorable than being in a position to do something like that.
Once my credit is repaired, how soon can I get business funding?
Well, you got to have a business, so it really just depends. But let's just say, the question was, once your credit is in position, how soon can you get funding? Let's just say it's a perfect world. Your credit is repaired. You got your business set up. It's bank compliant. We can send you to the banks immediately. There's really no timetable or time limit. But everything from a prerequisite standpoint has to be in place. After getting credit restored, how long does it take to get easy funding? Yeah, I think that was pretty much the same question. It really depends on where everything else is at with your company. Because keep in mind, your company does have to be bank compliant, and that's really important. And that's one of the benefits of going through easy funding. We're going to tell you everything you need to do to be in position to making sure that your credit is, your company is fundable. And, one of my bank underwriters is on the live. I'm not going to call him out because I don't want y'all blowing up his inbox. But he'll tell you, we have an extremely high closing ratio. That's because we know what it takes for your file to be underwritten for you to get qualified. And it's not just about having a 790 credit score. I'm going to tell you, the banks don't care about your 790. There's certain metrics that they're looking for from a company standpoint, making sure your business looks like it's a legitimate business, your credit profile. You can have I just looked at a credit report the other day. They had a 780, but they only had a $300 credit card. They wanted to push their file through as is, and guess what? They didn't get approved for anything. So it's not just about the score, and that's what I'm always constantly preaching. The banks and the underwriters are always looking at the credit profile and not just the score.
How do I position myself to transition from an employee to a business owner?
Very good question. How do you position yourself to transition from an employee to a business owner? Well, the first thing is that you want to start educating yourself. What books are you reading? What is your mindset like? Because the thing, and this is the thing I always tell people, as an entrepreneur, your first few years, you may not make a dime. Are you mentally prepared to withstand that? One of the things that I did is I made sure I wanted to make sure that as an entrepreneur, I was making 2 to 3 times my income as what I was doing on my job, and I had to do that for at least 90 days before I quit my 9 to 5. That was my metric. So, and I always like to tell people that because I've seen people quit their jobs too soon before. You know, my first business venture, which is my tax franchise, I quit my job too soon. But that's because I was chasing a check. The franchise owner sat me down and said, look, this is the type of money you could be making. So I bought into it, having zero experience in that industry. Didn't even have a mentor that could guide me through there because the franchise owner don't mentor you. You buy the franchise and you gotta go and run it. And so I quit my job too soon. The franchise went horrible. I used all my own personal liquid capital because I wasn't leveraging credit back in 2012 and 13, and I had to go back to work. You know, it was a very humbling experience, and that was one of the other reasons I invested in mentorship. Jay could have been charging $50,000. I would have found the money because I knew with my talents, my ambition, my drive that $50,000 would be made back tenfold because I believed in him as a mentor because I've seen what he's built. And that's the other thing. Sometimes people don't want to invest in themselves because maybe they feel that they're not confident, and that's okay. And so it's always a stepping stone. But the easiest way to transition is learn business, get your mind right, and make sure you have a valuable product too. I mean, that really does make a difference, you know. And it's not about having something unique. It's about having something that people value and wanting to spend their dollars with you. And all of those things definitely matter.
Can you explain what Easy Funding is? I'm slightly new to your services you guys provide, and we're trying to gain an understanding of all of your resources available.
So someone asked, can you explain what Easy Funding is? So essentially, Easy Funding is a company that we put together to help small, medium-sized business owners, investors, startup companies, seasoned company, get access to capital by leveraging their credit along with their business. Pretty plain, cut, and simple. Your personal credit does matter. Having a business in place does matter. The banks will always ask you for a personal guarantor, which means, yes, your personal credit does have to be in position. And so we go after forms of credit cards in your personal and business name. Then as your company becomes more seasoned, you can go after business lines of credit. I tell everybody, if your company is not at least 2 years old, there's probably hardly any banks that are going to give you a business line of credit. So your company does have to be at least 2 years old. So there are phases to building capital for your company. And the thing about Easy Funding, I want people to understand, it's not just a one-shot deal. You take what you've learned in Easy Funding and you continue to go after and get capital as long as you're in business. My parent company is 6 years old and I'm still applying for capital. Because every time I see a bank offer a new product, guess what? I'm going to go apply for it. Because you can never have too much capital. That's like saying, oh, you have too much cash. I mean, I don't know anybody who would turn down and say, oh, I don't want that much cash. That's too much. You guys are paying me too much. So I look at that as credit because, again, I don't look at credit from a consumer standpoint. I don't go on vacations and shopping and do all these things with my credit. I use it to create and buy assets. And then I let my assets pay for the things that I want, whether it's a trip or whatever the case is. So that's how we view things from a credit standpoint. So I wanted to just make that clear because, yeah, I'd rather have access to the capital, i.e. the credit, and not need it than to need it and not have it. Somebody had a question from Facebook. What should a credit score be in order to avoid predatory lending and get the best interest rates when purchasing a home? Very good question. So again, it's not just about the credit score, it's about the credit profile, but most banks want you to be at least a 680. And from a home buying perspective, all you have to do is be a minimum 620. So I always tell people it's actually easier to be qualified for a business. It's actually easier to be qualified for a home than a credit card. Our interest rates applied immediately after getting the credit line or after a time period. Every bank is different. Some banks have introductory rates. Some you start from day one. It really is up to the bank's discretion.
I'm trying to purchase a truck for my business. Should I wait until I get Easy Funding or should I get a truck or trailer loan?
Good question. Someone asked, they're trying to purchase a truck for their business. Should they use their Easy Funding or get a truck and trailer loan? I would say you want to shop the rates. Sometimes the truck and trailer loan, you're going to get a better rate because you have the actual collateral, and usually when there's collateral involved, the interest rate sometimes is going to be a little bit lower. So it's really going to be dependent on where you can get the cheaper money.
If I create two businesses and pay for easy funding for both, can I get funded for both at the same time?
Absolutely. We actually just had a client who went through one of our bank partners, and he has 4 businesses, and we got him just from one bank $200,000, $50,000 a piece for a business line of credit on each company, and that was just the first bank. We haven't even finished. So yeah, you can have multiple companies. How do I start a business? Someone asked on Facebook. Simple. First, you want to either you can do it yourself. You want to first set up an actual entity, whether it's an LLC, incorporation, S corp. You can do it online. You can go to places like LegalZoom, InkFile, or you can contact an attorney, which I think that's a bit overkill because an attorney is going to charge you an attorney fee to basically push some buttons that you can get done online. Once you get your entity set up, you can go to the irs.gov, get your EIN number, which is free, and then from that point, you have a business set up. So, King Jermaine, I'm hoping that's answered your question if you wanted me to go into a little bit more depth, but as far as just starting a business, it's simple. I mean, literally, you can set up a business overnight, so.
Why do my credit scores show in the mid-700s on Experian, but show in the mid-600s on ScoreSense?
They don't update at the same time. Sometimes the credit monitoring services all do not have the same information. So me personally, I'm kind of a little anal when it comes to my credit. So I have like 4 credit monitoring services, but that's because they all update different days of the month. So the question was, why does his credit score show up differently from Experian and ScoreSense? So yeah, not all the credit monitoring services report the same information at the exact same time. So he just wants to make sure that he goes line by line and make sure that the information is reporting that is consistent across each credit monitoring. But I always tell people, if you want a true accurate depiction, you can always go to myfico.com. It will cost you, but they do give you your FICO score for a mortgage loan, FICO score for credit cards, and your auto loan FICO score, which all of those gauge differently based upon what it is you're trying to get approved for.
Do I need a business plan?
No, for the funding, you do not need a business plan. Someone asked, can you use your lines of credit and get actual cash? Yes, you can. We do it every day. Matter of fact, we just had a client, one of our one-on-one coaching clients who just purchased a home. One of the properties that we contracted, she first did easy funding. We got her about $140,000. We worked with her probably about 9 months. She was also a one-on-one coaching client. We then did liquidation strategies, and she purchased the property. She bought the property for $30,000, and the property is appraised at $64,000, which it was a turnkey property, which means she's going to be collecting rent after her very first 30 days of owning that property, and then we're going to go and do a refinance strategy for her to pull some equity out of that property, recoup her cash investment, pay her cards off, and now she's liquid again because she's already looking for another property with us. So yeah, we show all of that, and again, that's the purpose of coaching. We go through those strategies.
Is it okay to use your personal address for your business address if you're looking to create a rental portfolio?
You can. Yes, you can. I definitely always like to separate that, but I understand some people may not have the budget. And the question was, can you use your home address as a business address when you're trying to create a real estate portfolio? And yes, you can, for those who can't hear the questions on Facebook.
Can you get funding without having any revolving vendor accounts?
No. Well, you can't. It's hard to get funding if you don't have any revolving credit, period. So the question was, can you get funding if you don't have any revolving credit? I'm going to just say revolving credit because now when you say revolving vendor accounts, I'm not sure if they're talking about on a personal or on the business. But if you don't have, let's say all you have is an auto loan and you have a 700 credit score, most banks are going to deny you funding because they want to see you have revolving credit on your personal credit report. So that's very important. what's the difference in pulling cash from a credit card? Like, what's the difference in pulling from a credit card for a cash advance to getting a business line of credit? Very good question. So, business lines of credit are my favorite. The reason being, when you have a business line of credit, essentially it's like a cash line. It's almost like a HELOC for your home. So if you have a business line of credit for $50,000, you can walk into the bank and say, hey, I need $20,000 of that $50,000, and they will give you the $20,000 cash, or you can write a check against it, or some banks give you a debit card to use towards that line of credit. A cash advance from a credit card, we don't do those. The interest rates are high. Usually they cap you 25% of the credit limit of the card. So this is why it's important that you want to get to the 2-year mark of your company, because once your company hits 2 years old, we can go after business lines of credit. And keep in mind, I have clients where we've helped them get 5, 6 different business lines of credit from different banks. Now they have over $300,000 of capital, which is cash, meaning they can go to each bank and pull $20,000 from each bank, and now they have $100,000 liquid that they can go and use towards whatever the purchase or project or property that they want to put it towards. See, and that's the thing. This credit game, I'm telling you, you learn this credit game, you'll always be able to get access to capital. Now, worst case scenario, because people always say, well, what if your credit go bad? Well, first of all credit can be rebuilt, restored, and repaired, period. But the reason people who do real estate investing, including myself, love real estate, let's say worst case scenario, something happened and your credit go bad. You still own the asset. There are banks that will borrow money to you against your asset, but more importantly, you could always sell it. So we have to stop. I mean, I see people go in debt to go on a vacation. I've met people who messed up their credit because they're trying to go to the latest and greatest concert and make sure they get the outfits and the belts and all that stuff. So I would always put my credit on the line to create assets. Because if I got $3-4 million in assets, but my credit goes bust, guess what? I already know my credit gonna be back in position in the next, let's say it took 12 months. But I still got $3 million in assets that I could liquidate at any time, which means I'll still always have access to some capital. So that's the thing we gotta really start thinking about, is we have to start thinking more transactional as opposed to emotional. Because right now, a lot of us think too emotional. We'll go blow up our credit to go finance a vehicle we can't afford, but then we get scared to invest in using our credit to go buy an asset that's going to make us some money. So, these are some of the things that really separates the good from the great. And this is why, I'm so passionate about this, because I've seen what this credit game can do for people, what it's done for myself and my team and my family and my wife and my friends and my business partners and all of you guys who have rocked out with us. I mean, it's people on here who has testimonial stories. King Justice, he'll tell you, he's on here every single Friday on Facebook. He'll tell you what the credit game has done for him. Queen Tierra, she'll tell you what the credit game. King Winston, King Tommy, they'll tell you what the credit game has done for them. King Anthony Condor, he'll tell you what the credit game has done for him. King Evan Hooker out of Atlanta, that's my brother. He'll tell you what the credit game has done for him. King Beyond, he'll tell you what the credit game has done for him. So, it's just about us leveling up and really taking action, family.
How can I keep improving my credit profile?
It depends on where it's at. The question was, how do you keep improving your credit profile? It really depends on where it's at, but then also, too, keep in mind the age of your file, meaning making sure you're constantly making your payments also makes a big difference.
If you're on Social Security disability, how can you open a business without having your benefits penalized?
You would have to talk to a tax attorney, but a way around that is you can have a credit partner. It doesn't have to be in your name. We have people who have challenged credit, but they have good business ideas, who use a credit partner so they can go and still strategically do their business. So it's always around. We got to take the blinders off and start understanding that. The thing I love about entrepreneurship, there are no rules. Who says you got to go right? When I see a bunch of people going right, I'm going left just for the hell of it. Because there's probably a stampede coming up on that side. So it's just really about thinking outside the box.
This is a lot of information. Can I learn all of this through JMA?
Absolutely. Make sure you go to jmorrisonacademy.com, and you can definitely enroll in our Wealth Mastery, where I am the Credit Mastery instructor. Somebody asked on Facebook, wow, I did not know you can get cash without a business line of credit. Absolutely. We do it all day, Landscape. Lowry, can being an authorized user on a credit card help with improving your credit score? Good question, Gabriel. It really depends. So, for example, and I'll try to answer this question quickly. It can help improve your credit, but it doesn't put you in position for funding because your personal primary account still have to be below the utilization threshold, which is 30% or less. So now let's say, for example, you have $10,000 of credit card limits and you're using $9,000. You're at 90% utilization. Someone adds you on as an authorized user for $2,000. It only brought your utilization down to 70%. No, that did not help you. So it really just depends on the situation, the scenario, making sure you know what you're doing, making sure that authorized user hasn't maxed out their credit card, because I've seen a lot of people get into that situation, and then making sure they don't have any late payments. So I always recommend you consult someone as a credit specialist. You can definitely reach out to us, because I had a king reach out to us the other day. He was about to go spend about $2,500 in trade lines, and it would have done nothing for his credit file. So a lot of these people out here selling credit, authorized users, just gassing y'all up. Y'all wasting y'all money. So you definitely want to make sure you get a credit evaluation before you spend money just buying trade lines, because trade lines do not help everybody.
So would you say your credit profile is your total credit limit you have available?
No, your credit profile is made up of your payment history, credit utilization, your mixture of credit, your new credit, and credit utilization. Yeah, so it's your overall depiction of what makes up your credit score. Somebody on Facebook asked, I just want to confirm that you have programs where you can have multiple businesses and do multiple lines. Absolutely. If you got 17 companies, we can get you money on all 17 companies, family. We've done it all day long. So yes, definitely reach out to us, because the banks is trying to give this money away right now. I be trying to keep it quiet, but my bankers is like, well, you're not sending us enough. We still got about 50 million in the vault. We trying to get y'all businesses this bread. But we got to do our part as the individuals, make sure our credit is right, and making sure our companies is positioned. And then the banks is giving them money away right now. So yes, if you have multiple companies, you can get multiple lines of credit. Absolutely.
Can you get business credit cards as a credit repair company?
Yes, but you don't want to position yourself as a credit repair company. If you guys notice, my company name is We Management Services. I did that strategically because I'm a consulting firm. We don't do credit repair on paper, I should say. But because banks is all about perception, they don't want to deal with any company that's in a high-risk industry. So you just have to make sure, again, that's why mentorship or some form of coaching is important. I've seen a lot of people make that mistake. Like, I speak to so many real estate investors who's so proud just to tell the banker they do real estate, and the banks are just high-fiving when you leave the bank because they denied you, because they like, we don't deal with real estate investors. So I tell people, on paper, you do property management. On paper, you are marketing and consulting. Tell the world you do real estate. The banks, they just want to make sure they're protecting their investments. So again, all this type of information, again, is that you get from mentorship. This FICO Friday is mentorship. So I definitely appreciate everybody who's on here, and hopefully this information is helping y'all. If this information and game has been helping y'all, I need y'all to drop me an emoji. The fist, a high five, a thumbs up, the 100, whatever. Just, show me, let me know. Hopefully this information is helping y'all.
How much is your coaching? Do you have a payment plan?
There's no payment plans. I'm going to put the question back on you, but I'll send you where you can go and get the information. You can go to jmorrisonacademy.com/big3, and you can put the number 3 or type it out. I want you to let me know what you feel our coaching is worth. You let me know what you feel the coaching is worth. But you can go and see all of our pricing, my personal coaching, as well as our group coaching. jmorrisonacademy.com/big3.
Where can I go to be taught the credit game?
Oh man, you gotta come. You at the place. Mr. Credit is King, family. But no, definitely, you can go to J. Morrison Academy, sign up for our credit mastery course. And we have over 31 lessons. What do you think about crowdfunding to get investors? I think it's a good idea. If the thing I always tell people is that if you, no good deal will ever go unfunded. So if people take you serious, yeah, I don't have a problem with crowdfunding. How much time we got left, King Daniel? 7 minutes? Okay.
How old do my primary accounts need to be before I can apply for easy funding?
That's a good question. It's about the totality age of credit file. So the reason I like credit check total and Experian, it'll give you the average age of file. Most banks want to see a solid age of file at about 5 years plus. The stronger the age of file, the better the approvals. Banks want to see that you're credit worthy.
You got an answer for your question. Prices for those who see the value. That's how much it's worth.
I appreciate that, family. Definitely. You kind of skated on that because you still didn't give a price. So I'll let you slide. That was a good one. Somebody asked on Facebook, if you have business credit, does credit utilization still count? Yes. Some banks do look at the credit utilization on your business cards and lines. So again, this is why I tell people that the strategies that you learn to use the capital is vitally important, because some people will be like, well, I don't want to get any personal cards because then my utilization is going to be maxed out. Well, we have this thing in business what we call hedging your money. We show you how to hedge your money so that way you don't max out, so you can go back and still refinance. Or if we feel a client hasn't gotten enough capital to be in position to get the funding, we tell them, hey, let's hold on. Like our client, Queen Tierra, when she first got some funding, she got about 40-something thousand. She was like, I'm ready. And I'm like, no, let's get you some more capital. So then we worked with her for another 4 or 5 months. She's at a total of, like I say, 150 something like that. And now we went and did a deal. So now the utilization doesn't impact her. And then we put her in a position where the deal made enough sense where there's so much equity in there, she's going to be able to recoup that investment from the refinance immediately. So again, it's all about strategy. But because she had the proper coaching, she didn't make an emotional play. She did everything based off of the advisement of our team so that it made sense. Because again, I tell people, we don't chase real estate, we chase the numbers. I don't care if you got a house decked in marble and it used to be owned by Mike Tyson himself. If the numbers don't make sense, I don't care. And so we always go based upon the numbers. Phil Jackson of the credit game, King Justice, I appreciate that. Jennifer, I appreciate that. Shannon Cole, appreciate that. Teresa, Abdul, King Justice, King Jermaine. Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you for the love and the emojis. 4 minutes, okay.
Can I get a line of credit with no collateral for a new real estate company?
Depending on depending on the company, but I can tell you that one of our banks that we deal with, we get people business lines of credit with no collateral. We just had a client out of New York. He got a $60,000 line of credit, no collateral. So,
should I change my business name if real estate is reflected in the name, or should I do business as?
You can definitely do a DBA, which stands for doing business as. The question was, should he change his business name if real estate is in a title, or do a DBA? It's really up to you. I always say if you can change the name, especially if you haven't really done any business with it, just change the company name. Richard Roundtree, my brother, what's going on? It's my actual brother, y'all. Y'all go show him some love. What's up? That's it. There was something else I was going to say earlier, just in relation to, how much time we got left? So I want to just leave everybody with this. A lot of times we see, and I've said this before, we see a lot of these other cultures come over from another country and they're buying up communities, buying in our communities, and we think they're getting some special privileges of loans. I'm telling y'all, when they come over, the first thing that they're telling them, go get your credit right. Get your credit right. They'll tend to a household, make sure the first family gets on, the family of the families go and work for that family, help the rest of the family and repay them, and then they get the next family on. That's how we got to start thinking. That's group economics. We have to understand our credit is our power. Our credit is our leverage. Why do you think they brainwashed us to think that credit is so evil? They don't want us to know this information. They don't want us to know this game. And I'm saying this with so much passion because I see so many people that choose to be stuck in financial ruin because they're scared of their credit. But they'll go out and finance a vehicle they can't afford during tax season. They'll go and take some fly vacation just to post a nanosecond on Instagram. They'll go buy some fancy purse and boots and post all this stuff. But we talk about, hey, let's better our financial situation, but you gotta leverage your credit. Oh, whoa. I gotta use my personal credit? Yeah, so we gotta understand that anything we wanna do, as long as you understand this credit game, you'll always be able to create wealth. And I'm telling you guys, I'm a living testimonial of this. I found freedom through credit. But it's enough for everybody, for all of us to go out here and do and accomplish the exact same things. And we have countless testimonials on Mr. Will Roundtree page, Mr. J. Morrison Academy fan page, as well as on here on Facebook. So, but it's up to you guys to go and make that final decision. So, family, we got 1 minute left. I appreciate everybody who hopped on. I appreciate everybody showing us love. Make sure y'all go out and purchase and pre-order my wife's new book on ggroundtree.com. Again, anybody who purchases today and today only gets a free complimentary consultation with me and my team. Keep showing the hearts, the emojis, the thumbs up. I appreciate y'all, family. I love y'all. I will see y'all next week. And we out of here, family. Peace.